Morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here, Midwest Market Management. I've got Riley Sykart on with me here today. We're going to hop into U.S. weather from a national yield perspective. Riley, we're shifting from cold and wet to cold and dry. That's kind of can sum it up. I guess at least dry and windy is better than cold and rainy and windy. So either way, it sure isn't feeling like we're knocking on April 1 here.
No, 40 and 50 degree temperatures. I don't think of spring and summer with that, but maybe I just need to move further north. Getting over to the maps here, planting progress numbers came out. Corn numbers ahead of average. I would say largely the Delta and southern areas of states are leading that charge. I do partake in the crop roundup for RJO/StoneX now. And a lot of guys in the East mentioned southern Illinois, southern half of Indiana, and even Ohio. The southern regions are way ahead of where they normally are. So that kind of makes sense too when we look at the Delta, where all these states are either ahead of average or, I guess in the case of Texas and Louisiana, right in line. Louisiana's done and Texas is 71 compared to a 71 average. But planning progress.
We're noting Iowa, Riley. You get the backyard syndrome, and you just kind of, tend to look at that. I've talked to quite a few guys in northern Iowa, which ironically have been pushing pretty hard on planting corn.
Yeah, northern side of the state and the entire west of I-35, I would say, is 50+% planted for corn. So as soon as guys are getting a window, they're seizing the opportunity this year. And calendar's about ready to turn to May, so it does make sense.
Yeah.
So soybean planting side, I think part of the reason beans are so far ahead because we're at 23% compared to a 12 average. Clint, we've been talking about it on our weather broadcast since we started doing them. A lot of people are shifting to planting beans first. And I think that's a big part of the reason that this is being shown so far ahead.
Yeah, and especially when it's cold like this. Like if you got your choice of planting corn or beans, seems like you're gonna want to take the chances on the treated bean seed sitting in the ground for a little longer, waiting for things to get where you want it to be.
And if you had to plant something in not exactly ideal conditions, stick beans in the ground that are a taproot. They'll grow under about any condition. Putting those in the ground does make sense for areas where conditions aren't quite as fit as other places.
Yeah.
So one other thing to add, wheat conditions did come out yesterday as well. Stayed at 30% good to excellent. Arkansas with the biggest increase because they caught some rain for the first time, I think, this year. And other than that, very small increases or decreases. So not really much to add, but we were just talking about this. The wheat market is catching a little bit of fire here. Some geopolitical headlines combined with conditions and acres here in the U.S. are low, and it's causing a big reaction in the markets. So definitely worth keeping an eye on wheat and what's going on there. So moving ahead, actual map side of things, 1 to 5 day. Clint, you hit the nail on the head. 50-degree temperatures to low 60-degree temperatures until you hit the Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee line. I wouldn't call that May weather, but here we are. So cool temperatures.
One thing noting on the wheat front, I mean, that incredibly dry down there, and at some point you just need moisture, but at least we're not looking at, 90-degree temps, which can happen this time of year very easily down there. So should at least allow that wheat to hang in a little bit here, waiting on moisture.
Yep, good point. 6 to 10 day, a little bit warmer. I'm saying a little bit is the key. Looking at your main corn belt, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, low 60s, mid 60s. That doesn't get me too excited, but it's the world we're living in so far this year. And one other
Is this
thing,
this is the average maximum temperature for that time period?
yep,
Yeah, so we're 47 degrees is my average high for the next from May 3rd through the 7th.
doesn't that get you excited?
It sure does.
So the one thing I do want to point out on the temperature side too, just talked to somebody right on the North Dakota, South Dakota line. Not a wheel is turned there yet. It's too cold.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys in the North Dakota especially have to be very, very patient with cold conditions. They're not drying out and getting the, I call it muck from underneath, worked out very quickly. So prevent plant acres are always a big discussion in the Dakotas, and I think we got to keep an eye out on that, considering temperatures are just not warming up. So moving ahead here, last 2 weeks of rainfall, nothing new here. This line that went from Texas through Iowa, Wisconsin, we did have some rains yesterday that swept through that are going to keep some guys out of the field again for a while. But overall, we're looking at numbers and we're ahead of average, and some area, finite, smaller areas being stuck is not keeping the rest of the country out. So progress moving along. So moving ahead here, 1 to 5. This is another reason it's making it pretty tough for a bullish thought to come in for guys not getting in the field. Not a lot of rain in the forecast over the next 5 days for the northern half of the growing area. The regions that are going to get some rain are the ones we just mentioned are already ahead of the game in terms of planting progress. So 1 to 5 looks pretty dry, except for the south, and 6 to 10 showing some rain in the east, but nothing really significant. So putting it all together, 1 to 13 day. Looks like the Delta is going to be getting some good rains that they are definitely in need of. Colorado catching some rain, which that's more of a impact on wheat than anything else. But Nebraska, Dakotas, Iowa, Kansas staying relatively dry when you're looking at a 2-week forecast and it's all sub-inch. So from a short-term perspective, it's going to give guys the ability to get crops in the ground quicker. From a long-term perspective, it's starting to reopen the drought thought process. So we've tottered from one side to the other, where weather's hard to be bullish and it's hard to be bearish because both sides have a place right now. So
yeah, and that's a lot of moisture moving through the south there, through the Delta. Like that area is lit up on the drought monitor map, and they're going to appreciate every bit of that 2 to 3 inches coming.
yeah, definitely. So it's hard to put this into terms from a market perspective, but from a national yield perspective, Clint, I think we can say there's no thought of a massive crop issue, especially this early in the year. I mean, we're getting out to May 11th and there's still going to be a lot of crop already in the ground. So
yeah, the biggest concern I have at this juncture, which probably will sort itself out, I mean, it's just the temperatures. Temperatures are pretty low, but like I say, I think that'll fix things. It's nothing I'm looking at as a long-term problem.
yeah,
So
I agree. So all that
10-4.
That's all I got today.
All right, Riley. Well, I appreciate you putting the maps together again. Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sidecard, Midwest Market Management. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, The market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.